and today, fellas, we have a very special video featuring Batgrenade 1, or otherwise his real name is Jacob, and just thank you so much, Batgrenade, for doing a My Hockey Story with me, and for those of you who don't know what My Hockey Story is, it's where you guys send in a letter, a personal message saying how you became a fan of the game everyone loves on this channel and in the community, hockey, and I read it with some gameplay, preferably of your favorite team, and I just read it, and it's a great way for my subscribers to get to know other subscribers of mine, and it's a great way for me to get to know you guys as individuals. And so I had messages coming in, and I read Batgrenades, and I knew I wanted to make it a special video just by his story, and I feel that it can help so much a lot of you guys out there, and that's why I haven't done a hockey story, because I've dropped the ball so many times trying to set this up with Batgrenade, and I just appreciate your patience dealing with me, and just, I know I would message you and be like, hey, let's do it tonight, and I never got back to you, so I just want to say I'm sorry for that, and sorry for putting you through the lasso.
No problem.
So, why not waste any more time, and why don't you just start out, say, tell sort of the story that you sort of sent me, and then we'll expand upon it. I'll pick your brain afterwards.
All right. So basically, this one's a little bit different from how he introduced it. I've always been a hockey fan for as long as I can really remember. Hold on one second here. Yeah. But so my hockey story is actually a bit different from how Sully introduced the series. It's not so much how I became a hockey fan, because really, as far back as I can remember, I've loved hockey. I mean, there's pictures of me at 2 years old with like a little hockey stick in the basement. So it's not really so much that, but more along the lines of how playing hockey just helped me persevere through personal things that everyone's going to come around with once in a while in their lives, and I just did not expect it to be at age 14 when it happened to me. So basically, it would have been at 13, when I had found out the news that my father had been diagnosed with cancer. It was in both his leg, in the femur, which is a bone in your leg, and in his lungs as well. So that definitely came as a shock, and it's all of us really. And my father and I were extremely close, because ever since I was little, he was the one that got me into hockey, and I was playing hockey since 7 years old. He would bring me to all the games, all the practices. And that was a huge shock, because at that point, that year was the first time he had ever missed one of my hockey games. Until then, he'd always, if he had to take time off work, he would take time off work. He would be there at all my games. So that was definitely, I mean, at 13, you think you're mature, but it was definitely different having to play without him there for a few of the games. And as the year went on and hockey season ended and came around again the next fall, it got much worse. And that summer when I turned 14 was really the last time I had with my dad, because come September was when things started to take a turn for the worst, and he ended up having to be bedridden and lost his speaking abilities, and hockey season had just been starting up too. So now, not only, at least the year before, he could come out to a few of the games, but at this point it was nothing. And it was the middle of October, so really I'd only been playing for a month, and he had unfortunately passed away. And I will always remember that first game that I had to play without, after he had passed. And looking back on it, I mean, we won 4-3 that game. I remember where it was. I remember it very well. And then looking back, it kind of opened up the door for the rest of the year. And I was obviously sad, like anybody would be. And it wasn't the only thing that in my life that was a problem. There was lots of other problems, but at that point, really the only thing that was distracting me, but a good distraction, was playing hockey, because it was something that I knew my dad loved to see me do, and it was that kind of thing where I loved to do as well. So I could go out and play, and I'd know that he'd definitely be happy for me to continue. So that year was definitely difficult, and of course since then, I mean, up until that point, I'd been on some pretty bad teams, and being the goalie, it's always difficult. And my dad had always been, he'd always been supportive of me. And then, of course, since then, I've been getting on much better teams, winning some championships, and I know for a fact he'd be extremely proud of how I've matured as a hockey player, and more importantly, as a person through all this. He's definitely one of my biggest role models, and striving to be the kind of person that he was is definitely one of my goals when I wake up every morning.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And one of the questions for me, hearing your story was, I guess when you played that first game, when he passed, what was it like? I don't know if your dad sat in the same place, for every game. I couldn't imagine, because I'm sure probably stadiums are different.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I mean, when he'd had problems with his leg, when the cancer in his leg, for 2 or 3 years before it was diagnosed, and he had problems sitting down, so he'd always be kind of pacing around the boards and the glass down behind the net. So it was definitely was an adjustment getting used to him not being walking around there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that first, just that habit, maybe that first glance, to the boards, and he's not there. What was it like just moving forward? Were your teammates, did they know, or what was your teammates' reaction?
Well, my teammates were extremely supportive. The year that he got diagnosed, that was a little bit of a different year. I mean, I wasn't really close with any of the guys on the team. It was definitely a different kind of year. But the next year, the year that he ended up passing, that one was I'd been on the team with many of those guys before. I've had the coaches before, and they were extremely supportive. I mean, when we had my father's memorial service, some of the coaches were there, and some of the kids from the team were there, and I had no idea. And it was just, it made it easy to go back. And everyone said, "Oh, you can, are you going to take any time off hockey or school?" I took a couple days off school, but but I mean, taking time off hockey, it was just, it wasn't even a thought, because I knew how much they all supported me, and I knew how angry my dad would have been if I had not gone out and played.
Yeah, I laughed at the school part, because
yeah, I mean,
I
took a couple days off. I didn't really need to take a couple days off, but I did.
It's hard. It's hard. I've only had one person in my family that I know personally pass, and the hardest part for me, I think, it wasn't so much for me personally going to the, funeral, but just when the funeral is over with, and just realizing that you can't call him up, you can't hear his voice anymore. Those moments are gone. And what would be advice for kids in, I think, your age bracket who are experiencing pain, whether it's a passing or, a relationship gone wrong. I think how I try and realize with people is pain regardless of the scenario. And
very true, yeah.
What would be advice, for those people at such a young age where you're right, they think they know, the world already at such a young age? What would be your advice to them going through such hardship at a young age?
My advice is, regardless what happens, the sun will come up the next morning. You'll still be here. You'll still have a life to live, and it's great to always think back to positive memories, especially like with somebody like my father. I think about him almost every day, and just like the great times we had together. But you don't want to dwell on the bad memories. And with him, it was the last couple of months where he was in a hospital bed and wasn't able to speak. I try not to think about that, because those aren't the memories that I want to remember. And like you said, some maybe like a bad relationship. You want to think about the good times, but then you also want to be able to forget about the bad ones and move on to better things. The more open-minded you are, the more you're going to be able to move on with your life. And everyone handles pain differently, and all I can say is don't resort to any permanent solutions. So, the people who resort to self-harm, drugs, alcohol, over excessive alcohol, even suicide, all that kind of stuff, those are permanent solutions, You'll have to, it's a temporary problem.
Yeah.
You will move on, the sun will come up, and it's really hard to avoid those kind of solutions sometimes, especially with how society works nowadays. But it's something that you have to really think about, and especially when you have a loved one who passes away, you want to be able to think, now if they were still here, would they approve of my decisions? And I know, if I had resorted to drugs and my dad ever found out I was doing drugs, that wouldn't have sit well. So
yeah.
when you think about it that way, you can find alternative ways, and a good way is talking to people, counselors, friends, other family members. I still learn new things about my dad, like a lot of the time, talking to my uncle, my grandparents, about stories from when they were growing up, just things like that. And it really does make it easier to move on, because you're always thinking back with positive kind of memories.
Do you think that your teammates and the support you had played a role in you, all things considered, dealing with this in a positive light? Because
yes, yeah. Finish the question. Yeah. I already know how I'm going to answer it.
Because it sounds like just the support, and you hit the nail on the head in the aspect that it's up to you to move past it, but that doesn't mean that you have to go through it alone.
Exactly.
And I think your teammates prove that point. It's up to you, but with your teammates, your family, and the coaches, it helps to have that support, definitely.
Yeah. And being able to go out, 3 times a week playing the game I love, just to have that escape. Because as much as you want to be thinking back about the good times, you sometimes just need to completely forget. And when I'm out there playing, especially as the goalie, I got to block everything out except for that 3-inch by 1-inch solid rubber disc flying around on the ice. That's all I can think about. And being able to do that for an hour and a half, 3 times a week, and being surrounded by people who were just had nothing but good memories about knowing my dad and being completely supportive, it truly made it much easier and even going on now, this year I'm on a team with the same coaches I had that year, a lot of the same players, and it's just being able to have those. It really is an extended family, and when you have things that you go through with your real family, it makes it great to have those guys that you can always count on, and really, it's like we're 16 brothers. It truly is.
What would be your last words of encouragement to a person who's maybe just recently had passing, or even at such a young age is going through a tough time?
Last word of advice is don't let the issue at hand alter your outlooks on life negatively. I mean, for me, it could have been easy to instantly, start hating life. And I mean, I still hate cancer, and that's a good thing to hate. But it's even through all of that, I still was able to maintain a really good grade point average at school. I know that's really important. My dad wanted me to have a good education, and I'm trying to get into university in the next couple of years. And I want to have a life where I can go out, do something I enjoy, come home to a family that I love, and things like this as a teenager sometimes can make you forget those dreams and goals that you have. So, set goals for yourself, have dreams, work hard to achieve them, but don't forget about them, because the pain is temporary, but not following through on your dreams and goals, that'll be sitting with you forever.
Well, thank you so much for your words and your story, and just your time. And I'm glad we finally got this thing set up.
Yes, yeah,
because
for sure.
It's been, I know,
wow.
Yeah, and we've been talking about this for a long time. And again, I just want to thank you so much for taking your time to share your words and to be honest and open, especially on a place of all places like the internet.
Yeah.
I think people are really going to take to your words, and I'm just glad that you could be forthcoming. So, thank you for your time, and I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.
Thank you.